What is going on, everybody? It's LG here, and we're back with another awesome episode of the First Mint podcast, which actually ran kind of long today when we were recording because, as you know, Phil D and I get a little bit carried away, especially when it comes to talking about Dapper and our collecting habits. And actually, we tried to cut down the part at the beginning where we just talk about, I don't know, personal stuff. How's your weekend been? Whatever. Where last week we ended up reminiscing for 15 minutes. But this week we actually opened by talking about UFC. And again, as usual, turns into kind of a lengthier conversation, maybe only about 5 or 10 minutes, but still goes on for a little bit. And then we spend almost an hour talking about, still the big news from last week, still the big news story from Roham and his adventures and his habits behind the scenes, as well as just generally where Dapper Labs is at right now across all its products, as well as our own personal collecting habits and thoughts on Top Shot and where all that is going. It's actually a really interesting time, right? Because we're kind of at this transitionary period for that product, for the company. They have new people running Top Shot who are remaining anonymous. We've been told that we will not hear from them. We will not know who they are. So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle. And as usual, Phil has a lot of thoughts on that. We also then kind of dive into Draft Kings Reignmakers, which is something that we don't talk about too often, but we actually finally have some numbers from them, or rather from a source giving us how many people actually used DraftKings Reignmakers, the NFL product this year. And lo and behold, it's actually more than NFL All Day. So we talk about those numbers, and then we talk about the other DFS platform, Sorare, and kind of what they've been up to lately. And then the podcast ends on this like insanely long rant from me about how all baseball platforms are missing like a huge opportunity right now with NFTs and Web3, with none of them getting into it. MLB not really leveraging that, although it's clearly something that they need. We also premiere our very first hot take of the week, which is where we ask you guys on Twitter a hot take on a certain subject, and then we pick our favorite one on the show, and that person gets a prize. So anyways, check out this week's episode. It is very long, but I hope you enjoy it. And thanks again, as usual, for listening to The First Mint.
Search is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content, look no further cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, and pack drops, the show's equator hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers to happen to balls is the Ball Brothers. So settle in cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Hey, bonjour, Philippe. What's up, man?
Hey, Mozi. Whoa. What is going on, LG?
Not much. It's another Monday. Had a good weekend, actually. I did. I usually watch, because I live in the middle of nowhere, and I usually watch UFC fights like entirely on my own. So this time I actually drove to the ferry, took the ferry, drove another hour, and went to a buddy's house. They've got a newborn and another kid and stuff like that. So it's good to spend time with them. But we convinced the families that it's like tonight we're going to watch some UFC and all that, to then just watch a like 1.5 minute fight of John Jones, Cyril Gane. So it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed the Shevchenko fight before. That was surprising with what's her name? Alexa Grasso choking her out. So that was pretty good. Yeah. So, had some good UFC action, but a bit of a strange fight. And I know, Phil D, you were messaging me about the Gane fight, saying Gane just showed up to collect his paycheck and peace out.
Yeah. I wasn't just saying that there. I was in the Discord, like losing my mind, man. Like that really pissed me off. Like at no point in that fight did he have any interest, it looked like. First of all, John Jones comes out. And for those who don't know John Bones Jones, he's one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. Time. Yeah. And I sent a picture in our Discord, most people had already seen it, where it showed what John Jones has looked like his entire career. And then it showed what John Jones looks like at the weigh-in for this fight, because he's moving up, 50, 60 pounds in weight, right?
Something crazy.
And it looked outrageous. Like, I'm not going to lie, okay? Like, it was hard to see John Jones looking like that. We're used to seeing, the 12-pack abs, the chiseled this, chiseled that, 0% body fat on his body. That's all we've ever known John Jones as. And just to put a bit more clarity, John Jones has had a lot of legal issues, a lot of substance abuse issues, tons of stuff that have kept him out of the UFC for the last 3 years. But he was finally back, but he was fighting at heavyweight level this time. And dude, he looked like a slob, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't know. There are bigger guys. No, there's some guys in the heavyweight that are like 275, 280, whatever it is. Then they look still fit. But John Jones did not look fit. I'm like, okay, what is this? So I'm like, I look at the odds. I'm like, all right, something's off here. Like, is he gonna get killed or what? And this will be the end of him. It's either gonna go that way or he's gonna come back and he's gonna kill this guy. And it turns out that Cyril Gane, he was disappointing in the Ngannou fight when he had the Ngannou fight. So I'm like, you know what? This guy's going to show us that, John Jones does not belong at this level. But what the hell was that? That was a disgrace. Dude, I was pissed. I had no horse in the race. Nothing. I was just pissed that all this anticipation. It's like, it looks scripted to me, man. I'm not going to lie. It did.
It was really weird. Like, especially because Gane opened the fight with a low blow, which I don't know. Like, I know that happens, but I'm like, is he like just mega nervous? Because that was like immediately, like they locked up and he immediately nailed him in the groin. And I was like, oh, okay. And then literally 60 seconds later, Gane was done. And I've only been watching UFC for like a year. So I've only really seen Gane in the Tuivasa fight, and I was like, okay, well, Tuivasa is just this like psycho brawler, so Gane kind of beat him, and technically, and then knocked him out as well, or submitted, or I guess TKO. But I thought that was super disappointing, and I guess now they're saying that he's going to fight Stipe. That Jones is going to fight Stipe.
Yeah. Okay. Right? Thanks. That's another one. Okay. Everyone's excited. I got to admit, Lorax in our Discord is like, oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this one. I'm like, hold on. Did you see Stipe when they showed him in the crowd? First of all, he looks like a guy who's been retired for 20 years. Okay. No one watching UFC for the first time would be like, hey, that guy looks like a real badass.
No, like, there's no way.
Yeah. Right. Usually when you get called out, you literally lose your mind in the UFC. You jump into the ring and you want to fight the guy right away. Okay. He's sitting there like, wait a second. I didn't know about this. Like, do I have to do this? I'm good where I am. Right. Yeah. So that's another fight I don't want to see. And I just don't trust it. I don't know, man. I didn't like the ending. To me, it was, like I said, it looked scripted. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I thought only Jake Paul fights were scripted and things like that. Like, that was actually funny. The Jake Paul fight too. We didn't talk about that last week, but
no, we didn't talk
the
about
whole fake scripting that came out was freaking awesome.
That was brilliant. There was a script for people who don't know, like literally the morning of the Jake Paul fight last week, there was like on Twitter, it was like, here's the script for what's going to happen today. And it was like down to such specific details. It was like, in the third round, Tommy Fury will have a problem with his eye and the fight will be stopped for 30 seconds while he cleans up his eye. Like, it was so specific. And then none of it happened. None of it happened at any point. But I love that kind of stuff.
The thing is if that was real, is that they obviously would have had to abandon the script.
Yeah, they'd have to change it. Yeah.
And then when Jake Paul lost, I was like, wait a minute. Like, what if, just to really keep credibility here, you know, if that was real, he may have decided at the last second, hey, I need to lose a fight. He probably didn't want to ever lose a fight and go like, 5 years without losing and be, a true contender in the boxing world. But it could be, if ever that was real, that he just decided, hey, we need to abandon this. I'll lose a close one where it looked like I maybe won, and then we'll do it again, and then I'll smoke this clown next time, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't think it was real, but I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, disappointing, man. Two big fighting events that I was looking forward to, and I don't know. I came out of that thing, I was like, what is this?
To wrap up the UFC part, there's a few other good fights coming up. I think next is the Edwards-Usman rematch, which was shocking to me. I know people aren't that stoked for that because it's their third match now, and it's not as exciting. But then after that, there's the Adesanya-Pereira rematch as well on Easter weekend. So that should be a pretty good one. I don't know. Like, listen, again, still only just recently following UFC. Now I'm just assuming, I'm like, well, I guess I just want to see Jones against Ngannou, even though Ngannou is like not under contract. They said he's never ever coming back, which they've said before. It was my first time, honestly, watching John Jones, which I know might be shocking, but again, I didn't really watch UFC for a really long time, like since the GSP days, which maybe he was around.
I think Dana should fight like the top woman and see what happens. Seriously, for hitting a woman, I think you should have to fight like the I don't know what weight class champion and see what happens. Yes, I'm serious. Seriously, put him in there for 2 rounds and see if his ass whooped. You can't just get away with that. You can't just
UFC. Oh my God,
We
man.
need something. Seriously,
That
if
would
he wants
last,
to hit women,
30 seconds, man.
if he wants to hit women, put him in the ring with whatever
Oh
champion there is out there,
I like
and let's see what happens.
I
Maybe
like it was
Amanda
like this. I
Nunes.
was like, let's wrap up the UFC part, and then Phil's like, okay, what's something really controversial I can say? Let's bring up the Dana White controversy, and then
Well, he'd never even get a hit in LG, so it wouldn't be controversial.
No, he'd get his ass kicked. That would be
out in 5 seconds.
He'd run out of the ring. Anyways, we are going to talk about actual NFTs this week. Obviously, there were some challenges on strike and all that kind of stuff for last week, so we are going to talk about that drop a little bit today. We're going to talk. I mean, Phil, listen, we have to put a button on the Roham fallout from last week. Friday was the text-only AMA, so we got to talk about that. We'll then talk about the packs on Dapper because they had 3 different pack drops last week, volumes up across the board for them. Following that, but I had some of my own thoughts on Twitter as to whether they're extracting a little too much from the ecosystem. Also, later, we actually finally have some Draft Kings Reignmakers data. I've been searching for this data for a month, but now we know how they did in their first football season. And honestly, it is very comparable to All Day, if not a lot better than All Day in terms of NFTs, all those very different products in terms of, NFL licensed or NFLPA licensed NFTs. And then, Phil, honestly, we got to talk about Sorare, and then we got to talk about baseball. We talked about baseball last week, and we're mad basically like every platform doing baseball, but I have more thoughts about baseball, where the World Baseball Classic literally is already playing exhibition games. With it, the official games start tomorrow. Canada plays on Sunday. I do want to talk baseball at some point because once the Classic's done, the season starts right away. So I have some thoughts there, but Phil, let's bring it all the way back. Roham AMA on Friday. I got to say, this is what you guys don't understand. For people who follow the first mint will understand this, but for people who don't follow it enough, don't understand that the Roham text only AMA, where there is a general chat, a VIP chat where only VIPs can ask Roham questions, which is what happens. It was gated to most of us. We were not able to access. And then also a Mike Zakarian stream, all happening at the same time while we all wait for Roham to post responses, has to be one of Phil's absolute favorite types of events where there is chaos in the Discord. Phil D,
that is my vibe. Like if there was a director of chaos, I would take that job. Forget director vibes, dude. I live for these things, and I love putting fuel on the fire. Like I was in there, like I was tagging random people I felt should be part of the conversation. I tagged Poker Pro Eric, like all the clowns that I thought would come in and just go crazy. I tagged them in. All right, and I'm one of them. Trust me. So I love being tagged into these things. But it wasn't just the different shows going on, LG. If you were in the Discord, first of all, the Dapper Discord, which if you go back in there, had an average of 2 messages per day for the last 5 months. Okay? Nobody, and I mean nobody, hangs out in there. Okay. Yeah. I even did a search, an @ search of Dumbo, who created the Discord. And he's not even in there. Okay. You can't even tag the guy in there. Okay. I looked for Pack Rip, not in there. I looked for everyone associated with Dapper because I had some complaints. And there's nobody in there. Okay. No voice. Second of all, in the general chat, 0 moderators. Okay. It's an absolute free-for-all. People are talking the biggest shit about everybody. People are tagging all sorts of things. You can't post memes in there. You can't post GIFs in there.
No links to Twitter, nothing. Not allowed to post anything fun. Only fun.
Yeah. No fun guy in there. But what you didn't know, LG, is that there's an OG's chat in there too. There was a whole different rumble going on in the OG chat. Because the infamous AG was in that OG chat, and he was going crazy. Oh my god! So I made one comment that really set off. I told everyone forget. There's no rules. Someone asked if there's rules in here. I go, there's no mods. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on here. But even the AMA itself, which was text based, I've never been part of an AMA that is text based. I can only imagine what would happen if I suggested to the HR from my company to have a text based. All associates meeting. They'd be like, "Are you on crack or what, dude?" Like people laugh at it. That was
hold on. It's normal on Reddit. Like Reddit is the place where you do AMAs, but it's always with mega famous people. It'd be like, "I'm Tom Hanks, the star of whatever Castaway 2 or whatever he's doing," and and then he posts a photo with him and the date and being like Reddit AMA, and then he'll answer 3 questions, and all the questions are promotional questions for the movie. That is generally what a text AMA is when there's millions of people. In terms of the CEO of a product that has this kind of niche community, I was really surprised that it was a text-only AMA. And my favorite part, actually, Phil, because of that, first of all, the text-only AMA is now forever a meme in our community.
I love
because that's what I actually really appreciate about Dapper, that I think most people don't really see it as something that's a positive, is that a lot of their bigger moves become something that's like etched forever in stone as like something that you can make fun of. You know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, text-based AMA is now just part of the lore of Dapper of like, why don't you just do another text-based AMA, Roham, or whoever? So, props
so
to them
true.
for creating
Yeah.
a new element of like meme culture to what we all have here. So I really appreciated that. My second favorite part is that as soon as they open the channel, because again, this channel where you could ask Roham questions was only open to the VIPs. And VIPs are people who spend like 50 to 100 grand or more on Dapper products.
Type. You could see it if you weren't.
You can only type. Yeah. You
Okay.
can see it. So we could see it. So we could all watch like from the outside, like it's a glass cage or we can only watch on the inside, but the VIPs could type. I think, Phil, that they were on a timer, right? I think they put them on a timer of like a couple minutes so they can just, somebody can just troll it and write like a million things. But as soon as they opened the channel, immediately there was like 10 questions. It was like boom, 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 boom. And to his
I
credit,
didn't know what was going on, man. I was like,
Well, first of all, everybody was looking like, where's the AMA? And it was like in the obscure Dapper
because they're
Labs
like,
Discord,
here it is in this
said,
live AMA chat. There's nothing in there except the opening. I don't know who that mod is, but someone's like, here's the area. Stay tuned.
Yeah, that's
and then once it started, it's like, all right, what's happening? Is Roham here? Like, who's in this place? And all of a sudden, like you said, all of a sudden, one question, and like we're not talking questions here, we're talking novels. Okay. One after the other was being posted. I'm like, hold on, I don't even understand what's going on right now. Okay. But are they selecting these questions from what was submitted by the VIPs and posting them? Or are the VIPs live chatting in here?
Yeah.
But they weren't live chatting because they weren't replying to things. So so
it was on a timer. That's what I think is that they had a timer.
Right?
Yeah.
Because how many questions were posted until Roham actually came in and said something? It was like 20. And I'm like, 20. Man, what is this freaking format? Like, who came up with this crap? And this is where I got the mods to show up in the Discord. I was in the OG chat, and I'm like, this is the worst effing format I've ever seen in my life. Then someone said, well, who the F is moderating? There's no moderator in there saying, hey, all right, we're going to take 3 more questions. I'm going to post
you loved it, man. Don't say those things like it's negative. That's what made it way better. Like it was like handcrafted for you, for your enjoyment.
It really was, because I was going back and forth between our chat with you. I was going in the Discord. I was everywhere. Okay. And I wouldn't stop. I kept going asking, what the F is this? And people were like, yeah, what is this? Good, and then out of nowhere, you couldn't even tag him in the Discord, comes Mr. Dapper himself, Dumbo, shows up in the OG chat.
Like an hour into it, like way deep into it. Like the AMA has been going, Roham's been responding to stuff, and like 45 minutes in, Dumbo comes out of nowhere. And what did he say in the OG chat? Because I'm not in the OG chat.
It took me saying how disgraceful the format was, even though I loved it. Okay, I said it about 5 times. And I go, there's no moderators, there's nothing. This is pathetic.
Oh my God.
And he came in and he started explaining why they had to use that format. I didn't even read
why? It. Why did he? What did he say?
I don't remember. I didn't read it. I was just like, dude. What? Then he DMs me about something else, and I'm like, man, what is going on?
Something else? What else do you want to talk about?
Podcast. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that, but it was about our podcast and how he listened to it, and he was actually shocked to hear what I was saying, and that I was taking the takes that I had. Yeah, I think he thought I was going to go crazy on Roham, and I was a little surprised that it was kind of just a bit more neutral or a bit more willing to listen and not take the first opportunity to kind of just
It's funny. It's funny you say that, and I think I want to go back to the AMA in a sec because I have more comments about it, and then I just want to clarify to everybody listening now. Once we're done talking about this AMA, that's the end of talking about the whole Roham saga. That. Unless other crazy shit happens this week, unless we need another emergency pod, maybe not. You never know. But that we're done with that. Like we're gonna wrap it up after that and actually talk about everything else. But I think people reached out to me as well with specifically to talk about your take and kind of our takes general on the podcast, saying that you didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. This is normal CEO behavior. And I think it was weird to feel like there was this vibe or this expectation of like, oh, there's negative press. I can't wait for you to shit all over them, And it's like, I don't know. It's weird to kind of, and obviously we haven't hesitated from doing that when it's due in the past, or even, you're going in there, causing chaos, which some people could maybe see as FUD, but obviously you're trying to do it as like a fun thing. But it's interesting to have that expectation kind of weigh in, and people like, wow, like, why didn't you really skewer them? And it's like, well, we will when it's time, but we're not going to do it for every single thing. So I thought that was a really interesting observation, and on your comments, Phil D.
Well, it's just not. We're not going to come out and say what people want to hear. I think that a lot of the
Yeah.
community, I think LG completely turned a blind eye to what was actually being said in that article, and we're looking for the very first chance, because this is the first chance, apart from the yacht thing, which was still not that big of a deal, but this is actually the first chance people had to kind of take Roham down. Like, if news broke that he was arrested for something like a DUI, you better believe that people would be all over him trying to completely end him. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people's agendas were a little bit different in this case. And like I said, I don't want to get into this again. I really don't. But for me, it was more like, I can't really pick a side because that's not what I'm here to do. I can only go based on what we know, and we don't know enough. And that really upset people for whatever reason. And it's like, well, you heard from those employees, and I don't think it's a coincidence that there's more than one. I'm like, yeah, okay, but they're still all anonymous, first of all. They still haven't really said what was really going on, other than they were mistreated. Okay, cool. And that he spent a lot of money. All right, cool. Anyways, I can't go based on that. Take it to court, take it somewhere, like build a case, and I'll jump on it. And you're, like you said, we're the first ones. Even and then there were some interesting comments on Twitter saying, well, you guys are only feeling this because you've met Roham or you've interviewed him, so you like him. Okay, but hold on a second. LG just absolutely destroyed Janie in that same podcast, and he did an interview with her, and it was a friendly thing, and it was a professional interview.
I had a great time interviewing Janie. Like
So-
I can both have respect for Janie and her as an individual and what she was trying to do at Top Shot, and simultaneously think that her tweets were some of the dumbest shit I've ever read. It's like, you can have both opinions. Like, it's like you don't, and I think that that's just a product of like having an internet commentary culture where it's like you can either love or hate things, and you're not allowed to be in the middle or have both opinions at the same time. So, anyways, my general advice is like, let's just try and keep an open mind here, because it's so polarized, Phil, right? It's like anybody, you have some people that it's like they're so committed to the product and nothing can be done wrong.
A lot of money was lost too. You have to keep that in mind. That's always going to kind of skew people.
It'll always be there. It'll always be there.
They'll always hold that in a little bit. But my favorite part, LG, was that Roham, the way he was answering questions, okay, and he was answering everything, and we didn't think he would answer any of the tough questions. I actually said I would bet everything I have on him ignoring the entire article and all that. And it's actually the first
like the lavish lifestyle and the mean being a bully at work. Yeah.
And I love that he said, "Oh, those are not my mansions." I love that part. That was really cool.
Well, I do. Before you go into whatever you're going to say, I want kudos to Roham in there. I actually like that it's like the first question he took.
Yes.
He's like, I want to clear the air. And again, this is up to you if you believe this or not. He's like, that was my friend's mansion I was staying at.
So good.
But then he didn't say, he refuted the mansion part. He's like, I did stay at the mansion, but it was my friend, so I didn't pay anything. But then he didn't refute anything else. He just said that he paid for everything else out of his own pocket. So there are private jets. There are like $30,000 a night penthouse hotel rooms. Those things are true. That's what I like, is he didn't deny those. He was like, yeah, like I just pay for all that by myself.
And that's what I like. I went straight to when he said that, I went straight to the general chat in the Dapper where all the pitchforks were out. Okay. And I said, wow, Roham just slapped the living F out of the VIPs. Okay, with his first three responses. And that got people so pissed. There were these people offering $50 in flow to ask their questions.
Yes. That was good.
Did you see that?
That's actually...
Yeah, he was like, I'd like to ask my question for me.
I would like to see that. To anybody who listens to this who's a VIP, maybe like Curtis or Justin Own the Moment or anybody else out there. There's some guys at First Mint who are VIPs as well and sneak us some of the VIP chat sometimes. I would love to see that system next time for you guys to sell your first question to Roham as an NFT. So whoever owns the NFT, by the time there's an AMA, gets to ask, their question gets asked. I would love that. I think that would be freaking hilarious. That would be hilarious. Yeah.
Nobody
build it on flow.
The guy wanted to know if Top Shot, what was this question? He wouldn't stop. He went on for 3 hours about this, trying to offer any money to someone to ask this question about something going public. What was it? He wanted to know if Top Shot was going public.
Me too. He DM'd me as well. I forget what this guy's name is.
Wherever
you are, we're not making fun of you, but you did ask me about 1,000 times.
He was
asked me, is Dapper going? Will Dapper go public to help the lawsuit? Which I think it doesn't really make. Honestly, I know disrespect. I don't think that really makes any sense. Like most Dapper products have like 5,000 users right now, and that's not really when you go public. You go public when the company is like bursting with value. You know what I mean? Like Facebook built like a 9-figure advertising business before they went public. You know, it's like you don't do it when it's like, hey, NFTs are dead. this NFT company is going public. Like that doesn't really make any sense. I don't think the lawsuit has anything to. If anything, you want to be clear of lawsuits when you're going public. Like you want to be completely no lawsuits. Everybody's clean. Everybody's having a good time. Like that's when you go public. So
the point being though that this was all going on in the general chat of the Dapper Discord. It was adding to the chaos because this guy would not stop. He was tagging all the VIPs. You need to ask this from me. He was offering money to people. People wouldn't take it. Others were crying about this. And you know what the response to some people were? They're like, if you're that upset and you've sold everything and you're not part of this anymore, why are you here right now? Why are you still here? What do you want?
We can't stop, Phil.
Seriously,
we can't.
You want
stop.
Dapper money? Like, what do you want? Seriously, that's what Roham should have done. He should have just sprayed like he was at a nightclub and just made it rain Dapper dollars in the chat. Okay, saying anyone who can grab this, should have been done in the metaverse somewhere. We just whips money everywhere and
Honestly,
move on. So.
Phil, you're giving me a really good idea here. I think that next time there's such a thing, if there's ever another text-based AMA or whatever it is,
there
whatever
never
next,
will be.
But whatever next big community event that's like, because don't forget, a year ago he did an AMA, Phil, on Twitter Spaces, I think with Jacob, and you and I did a live stream with Gina where we listened to it together, and we did like a 30-minute pre-show, and everybody showed up for it. You know what I mean? So crazy. I think if ever there's another thing like that, I would like to sell tickets to Phil D's VIP chat, where you get exclusive access to a chat just with Phil during whatever AMA is happening. I think we should need to do that, like something like that.
Chaos,
we'll put all the money towards something like a nice cause or something like that. But I think we need to. I think we need to make that happen. I think people want to spend time with you during the AMA.
So are we hoping for another scandal here? Is that what you're saying? I hope so. I hope there's more to the story that comes out. I hope someone does a deep dive.
What story do you want?
The financial part. This is because the other part
where
is
he's
really
spending
hard.
money.
And you know what? A lot of good points were made countering what I said is that, yes, if you're going to come out and say exactly what the issues were with his professional behavior, if there were issues, it might impact your career. So I understand people not wanting to do that.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And then
in terms of the bullying
in terms of the bullying and all that, I get why people may not want to discuss that. And the other part, someone made a good point, was that HR departments in Web3 are probably nothing like HR departments that we're used to in big companies in the real world, right? Maybe his brother runs HR. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't know. So that wouldn't get very far. Can you imagine his brother running HR? Then you're going to tell him about his brother. Like, come on, seriously. I get it. But if ever someone does a deep dive into the financials and finds like some really crazy shit that money was spent on, I think the community will explode one more time, and I bet you there's someone out there digging as deep as they can right now. And even those like secret pictures with that girl or the girlfriend and stuff like that started circulating. I'm like, okay, so what? What do you want?
Hold on. Listen, I don't want to get into people's personal lives, but they're not secret pictures. Like this is what I've been shared with me. It's like she has a public TikTok where she like her and Roham are like making out. So it's not a secret.
But you sent
not
that,
a secret.
no,
but that's totally fine. I don't want to talk about. I think that has nothing
Okay.
to do with Roham at work. It's like who you are at home and your girlfriend or wife or partners or whatever it is. Like I want to leave that out of it. I'm just saying I know people went to try and go for that, but it's like no, it's public. Like you can go see it, but it's like I don't want to talk about anybody else. I don't want to talk about personal lives. I never want people to come for me. People can shit on the podcast all they want, first mint, whatever. But it's the last thing I want people to do is go to my Instagram.
Don't touch
like,
families.
Okay, so here's it's unrelated. It's unrelated unless the person brings it into the conversation. Roham's like, hey, let's do an AMA with my girlfriend. Then yes, then we can talk about her. But otherwise, I don't think it's worth it. Phil, other things that he touched. Yeah, other things he touched on was he did touch on the workplace bullying. Obviously, he didn't refer to it as that. He kind of glossed over it, but he said that basically it was on him for making non-tech hires and that now they are tech focused. And he kind of went to being like, we have the best team now. We're in a great spot. Like it kind of just felt like he was speaking to investors again, but he's like, we're in a good spot to move forward. But I will say, Phil, and again, a lot of the people have been let go or have left. A lot of respect for them and some of them good friends. What I will say is that hiring people, Dapper went out 2 years ago and really looked for people who worked at sports leagues because they're like, we have sports products. We need people who know these leagues in and out, that know how to market to sports fans. That's going to make a lot of sense. What I do want to say, and again, this is not to anybody's discredit or anything like that, is that marketing a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old league that has like a legacy product that has had fans that renew every year, that has people that are dedicated to their teams, even though their teams are absolutely terrible and have not, you know what I mean? Like take like say someone like the Sacramento Kings, like haven't made the playoffs maybe this year in like 20 years. Like if you're someone from the NBA who's come from marketing the NBA, that's the kind of product you market, something that has automatic fandom. Like you don't need to sell the NBA to NBA fans, and there's already hundreds of millions of them. I do think bringing those people into Web3, into something that had zero precedent whatsoever, was to me was kind of a strange move at the time. And again, I don't think those people did a bad job. I think a lot of them did a really good job, but they weren't NFT native people, nor were they startup people. So I actually, when Roham said that, I was like, okay, it's good for him to acknowledge that, because this is a tech product. This is a Wild West industry that it's like they're facing a lawsuit about securities right now. And there's all this other there's rugs everywhere, all this shit. And that's how the public sees it. I think it's hard now to think about, hey, let's bring in somebody who works in one of those leagues and has been marketing, just has to remarket it every year and come up with new, digital ideas, versus marketing an entire industry to people who don't want to be part of it. So I actually think the part where he's like, listen, those maybe weren't the right hires, even though maybe that's not true. Maybe they were the right hires and he's just an asshole. Again, that's what the article said. We don't know. But the part where he's like, listen, this is a tech product and we have a tech team and we're going to make it a tech product, to me is like, well, I that's the part I kind of agree with a little bit, is that it's a tech product. You need tech marketers. You need tech infrastructure people. You need people that aren't going to get too upset when they work somewhere for 6 months and then they get let go because the position doesn't work, because that's what startups are. I'm sorry. It's really fucking rough to work at a startup. It's really terrible, especially a big startup. It is cutthroat as shit and people will be mean to you. And it sucks that that's the culture, but anybody who's ever watched like Silicon Valley or read about anything else like that, like that's just what it is, man. You read the first couple of years of Facebook and it's absolutely savage. So, or even current day Twitter, you know what I mean? Like that's Elon came in and fired everybody, right? It's like, it's pretty savage place. So,
this is how it is everywhere right now. And I work in the automotive industry.
Yeah.
We just had a real live example. We just said real quick. So there's a new company that opened up shop here, electric cars from Vietnam, called VinFast. And we lost something like 12 employees in the span of a year to this company, which is a huge deal. Like they had to have their own AMA kind of answering questions to people like, what's going on here? The word was that people were leaving for parallel positions to this company and they were being paid double or triple what they were making at the company I work at. They were all being elevated to either manager or director status, all of them, right? And the company I work for kind of had to stop the bleeding. They did. And because people were like, well, guess what? I'm going to look into this and I'm gone too. And it all started when someone left from our company to go be the head of HR over there, kind of started but long story short, and the only reason I thought of this was because of Top Shot. I'll never forget the comment someone made when we were at the high of highs in Top Shot. They were thinking of getting in and they're like, all right, if something's too good to be true the way it looks like right now, it's eventually going to go bad. And I'm like, yeah, bullshit. No chance. And this person ended up being right. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, really. Now looking back, we're all idiots. For not selling at the highest highs, we could have bought everything back right now and been rich. Okay. Yeah. But my point
is, hold on. Wait, hold on. If we bought everything now, Phil, I don't think we're not going to get rich. Like,
no, sorry. If you had sold back then and rebought everything now, you could have everything you used to own and be rich on the side.
And also have the money. Yes.
Right?
That part. Yeah.
We could have all done that. Especially you, LG. Had you sold every single piece you have back then.
But that would have been fucked up, man, because I started first mint and then I would be like, hey, Top Shot's the best. Also, I sold everything. Like, you know what I mean? That would have been fucked up. Like, that would have been pretty super messed up. But I didn't start first mint. I didn't start first mint thinking it was going to happen.
There would be a first mint Lambo right now. Let's be honest. So anyway,
but there wouldn't be a podcast. There wouldn't be a podcast.
But there still would. But just to finish up that story is that when they were all leaving and I had opportunities to do the same, I said, well, something's off here. The grass is not, it's not going to be green on the other side forever. Something's going to happen. It just can't be, it's not sustainable what I'm hearing, right? Can't be paying people double, triple what they're making and all this crazy stuff and all these promises. And as of a few weeks ago, they let go of almost all 12 of those people less than a year after hiring them. Wow. It's a startup company in Canada. There's not even a single VinFast vehicle that has arrived in the country yet. Yeah. And they said that everything was outsourced to their US head office. And all they did was use those people here to kind of get set up and then cut them loose. And now these people cannot come crawling back. Their positions
they ain't coming back, man. No, you ain't coming back.
It's tough. It's tough. You got to be really careful with stuff like that. But it just goes to show you, it's not just in Web3. Startup companies everywhere, like you said, are a big risk. They are.
Yeah.
right? You don't know what
Yeah.
the long-term longevity is of these companies and what their plans are. So,
Yeah.
some will say that they had this plan the whole time, and
were you tempted to go to that company?
of course. I mean, if you're hearing that people are being paid double the salary
Oh
to do
yeah.
the same thing,
Okay, awesome.
or to be elevated to manager or director of a company, it's like,
Ooh, you've been waiting for that.
Of course
Yeah.
I will. But I actually said, let me sit on the sidelines for a little bit with this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Too many people going, something's off. It really felt off to me.
Yeah.
It's like, how could they just be doing this? They're obviously up to something. So yeah, you got your big salary hike and you got your big dream job for the rest of your life, but it ended up being for 3 months. So
yeah.
It didn't last. That's tough though. It's tough.
Well, then you have that weird stain on your resume too, right? That's like,
well, that's what I mean.
Oh,
Right?
hey,
Yeah.
you worked at this place for 10 years and then you worked at this place for 3 months. What happened?
And you left.
You'd be like, what? They offered me. I didn't care about loyalty. They'll be like, okay, so if you work
Exactly.
here or somebody offers you twice as much, you'll leave, right? I mean, that's not uncommon though. Like most people.
No,
relate to
I
that,
know, but yeah, we did lose some big names to that, and now they're out of the job and they can't come back because it's a done deal, right? Yeah, tough industry all around, right? But yeah, a little comparable.
Last thing, I do want to touch on the AMA, and then actually there's a few other things I want to talk about related to that. Is Phil D. One answer from Roham's AMA that I think you really got a kick out of, and so did I. And again, talking about the answers so far, I enjoyed the first couple of answers. Most of the other answers to me were like relatively ambiguous, and I know some of the other content creators on Twitter made fun of that, especially John Boy Beats, like pretty much just summed it up of like, we're working on that, someday we'll have it, just basically like some of the same stuff. But at one point, Phil D, when they asked him about Series 4 trade ticket usage for packs, and he said something to the effect, I already left the Discord, so I don't have the answer, but he said something to the effect of, what was it? I'll have to check with accounting for that. He blamed the lack of a feature on accounting. And then somebody asked him, like, what do you mean accounting? And then he came back to it. He's like, oh, well, it's, like some kind of payment thing or whatever. And it's like, nah, man, you can't show up to the AMA and blame shit on the accountant. Like, no way.
There is no accounting department anyways. We all know this. Like, that's just random. There's literally no accounting. It's one person that does all the finances, I'm sure. But when he said that, I'm like, in the chat, and I got people going again. I said, wow. I said, Roham just took all the VIPs' heads and shoved them down a toilet, and then people are going crazy. Like, oh, some guy got, there was only one guy. I guess he doesn't really, I mean, obviously people, not everybody knows SLG, but we realized this in New York last year when we went and we're like, okay, yeah, there's so many different pockets of the NFT world. Not everybody knows the First Mint. Not everybody knows who we are. Anyways, this guy did not know my humor. And he's getting so pissed, man. He's
seriously.
Yo, he kept replying to me like, he's like, dude, stop sucking his, he's just going crazy. I'm like, dude, I'm not on Roham's, man. I'm just messing around, man. Yeah, he thought I was like, he thought I was Roham's, he thought I was his hype man, right? Because I was just going crazy. I'm like, wow, Roham takes all the VIPs' heads and slams them into a locker,
I would love that scandal that it turns out that Roham's been paying Phil behind my back too. Even I don't know about it. And so that would be my new favorite scandal. We'd get so many hits, honestly, to hear your pod, you talking about it.
Seriously, man. Come on.
Yeah, I love that. A couple other items related to kind of the general. Actually, this actually relates back to the HR part that you were just talking about, Phil D. When in the NBA Top Shot mailbag, which was released last week prior to the AMA and was actually released almost at the exact same time as the Roham story broke. It was noted in there, it was a mailbag that was, questions that people had asked. And it was mainly like answers about supply and what's happening with these rookies or whatever. But somebody did ask, or rather they answered the question of who is now running NBA Top Shot, which Phil D, I know is a question that you have asked many times, is who's in charge now? The mailbag said that there are now two people running it. That is the head of product and the head of commercial, which is a position I've never heard of, similar to general manager. And it also said that they are ditching or phasing out the general manager structure, which I believe is being done across all of Dapper, especially now that NFL All Day also, we don't know leader list, but after Dave's departure last week, but we don't know. Again, I think the general manager thing is over. I think that that's gone. And now they're pointing to head of product and head of commercial. And I asked in the NBA Top Shot Discord, I asked, who are those people? We need to know. And I was told, Pacrip responded to me, and he told me that head of commercial is somebody. He didn't reveal either one, but I think I know who the first one is. First one, head of product, I believe, is Arthur, who is one of the Dapper co-founders. Who's been there for a very long time. Who's very vocal on Twitter and one of the founders of CryptoKitties and all that. So I believe he's head of product now. That's what it says on LinkedIn. But I asked Pacrip, who's head of commercial. and he told me that it's someone who's been working with the product for a long time. And this head of commercial is mainly working on like content, programming, like what comes out when, all that kind of stuff. General manager, basically. But he said that they're going to keep the identity private.
Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Like, seriously, give me a break. Why? Why does the identity have to be private? Is it the same person?
Phil, I think it's because with the last GM, we made their position a part, like with the public part became the narrative around their position. So I'm not surprised by that. But at the same time, we do want a visual leader. It's not Roham because he's not there day to day. So and Jacob has vanished completely. We don't get any public facing Jacob.
He did respond to someone yesterday who was like, "Hey, we need Jacob in this stream talking about Knicks and Celtics last night." That was the first time I.
Oh, we did. Okay,
forever.
Jacob, well, if you want to talk actual basketball, Jacob will show up for sure, absolutely. But in terms of so there is no so for the foreseeable future, Phil D, there is no GM and there is no single person answering this stuff. They're going to respond as a company.
Come on, man.
On the Top Shot, and I'm assuming on the All Day side. I know Strike now has a new GM who's the head of gaming from the company that they're working with for the Strike game. So I think that guy is mainly going to focus on like gaming stuff. And Strike, obviously, Strike a fun product, but not nearly as contentious as Top Shot has been. So a little less under the radar.
That bothers me, LG. And you know what else bothered me a little bit? Just maybe final point on the AMA is that I kept trying to tag Dapper employees or Top Shot employees into that Dapper Discord. Right, just get in here and I know we're not going to bash you, and you know what? That's the need for moderators in that Discord is. I'm shocked. I'm completely shocked. A company like Dapper did not have that in place because you need people to take care of the people who go overboard and who say stupid things. But I was shocked that you were not able to tag a single Dapper Labs employee and that not a single one showed up in the chat for the AMA, even if just to not respond to people and not do anything, but maybe to interact with the people and kind of reinstate confidence a little bit or in the product and in who the people are. But there was nobody. Like I kept asking, where the hell is Packrip? Where the hell is Jacob? Where the hell is Dumble? Where is everybody? Why is nobody here right now? Like this is your big boss here talking. All right, you guys should be in this chat.
Well, hold on. They were definitely there, Phil. They just weren't talking in the chat.
I know
they're all. That's all hands on deck. Everybody watching that,
man.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
God, I don't want to tag. I love Arsenic, but I don't want to tag Arsenic. I want to be able to tag Packrip and Jacob and Dumbo and have them all show up. And Arthur, nowhere to be found. Any of them. And this is the Dapper Discord we're talking about. You got to have a bit more visibility. That's how I feel about that. But good time. I loved it.
I like you just said Arthur, like you know who that is. I like you just you're like, and Arthur, it's like you've never ever mentioned Arthur.
But Arthur follows me on Twitter and has from the very beginning. And we've had discussions on Twitter before. If you look at the history, he follows me and I follow him from way back at the very start of Top Shot. So
Phil, I've got a surprise for you.
Let's bring him out.
Let's meet the guy.
You got to start doing those. I miss that. Those days of just bringing random people out here was awesome, man. That's actually the first Mint show, the first live show ever. Was the Pseudo Sisters and surprising one with the other, right? Or each other, or both with each other, right? They didn't know they were going to be there. So
the first, that was the second one. The first ever reveal wasn't let's meet the guy. It was when I told you that mom was buying was on Top Shot. And had gotten the Devin Booker Cool Cats and sold it for $400.
That's such a long time ago, man. Oh my god, $400.
This is over 2 years ago, not 200 years ago. 2 years ago.
Back a couple of weeks ago, I think, for like maybe what is it, $15? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I bought it back. I sold it a long time ago and I bought it back.
Buy that. Okay, great. Anyways, actually, let's talk. That's the next topic I wanted to chat about, Phil D, is drops from last week and kind of some of your market activity. And then I do want to chat a little bit more about like what's next for Dapper. But let's talk about the actual NFT side of all this, not just Roham's behaviors. So last week, there were actually 3 drops on the Dapper ecosystem. Outside of that, there wasn't much else in terms of sales across sports NFTs. Sorare has their usual auctions, which bring in like $1 million or $2 million a week for them, mainly on soccer. And Reingmakers had their PGA Green Pass drop, which only sold about like 35% of those. And they have actually today they have their actual supply drop. That was a pass last week. Anyways, a lot of drops on the Dapper ecosystem last week after not seeing very many for a long time. It was one of the first bigger drops on Top Shot in a long time. and they were set to make quite a lot. So they had the very small strike drop, which brought in just over 100 grand, which they sold out. They had the Top Shot metallic gold drop, which I bought one of as well. That brought in about 450K. And they had the NFL all day drop, which was for like road to the Super Bowl. So the last big drop, I'm assuming, of the season, because the season's already done for a couple of weeks, which was set to bring in 1.2 million and had a really high end premium pack for $700. But as of right now, Phil D, they're the lower end packs, the $19 packs, the hot route, have only sold half that supply of 30,000, only sold about 14,000 as of this recording on Monday afternoon. Phil D, we actually have like I guess like a partnership that's very slowly rolling out with All Day. So we actually, full caveat, we actually can't buy any All Day things. We could definitely comment on it though, neutrally, but we can't buy anything. So Phil, I know you didn't grab any of that, but did you participate in the Top Shot or Strike drops at all?
I did not. My strategy of not buying packs continues. I will continue to kind of wait, because when I buy packs, I'll be honest, you're looking for two things. You're looking for that big jackpot lotto moment that can make you a lot of money, or you're looking for something you're looking to collect. I'm more so I've stopped playing the lottery with packs and wasting money on that. I'll actually just go on the marketplace and buy what I like. So no matter what, I had 4, 5, 6 moments I would like in the Top Shot drop. I said, I'll just look for them on the marketplace after. I know how the market works. I'm a seasoned veteran now on how the market works. And I know that right after the drop might not be the best time. I know that when another big drop comes out, or if I wait until the summertime, probably I'll be able to buy a ton of those or whatever I want for much cheaper than what they're going for right now. Right. Where I did screw up though, and this was rare, is that these spotlight series on Top Shot, these rewards they're giving for owning, the moments. Okay. I have a ton of spotlight moments. So the last two challenges, the Jimmy Butler one and the Lauri Markkanen one, I had all the moments already. So I was able to lock that in and get my free rewards. And the rewards for Butler and Markkanen, what they did is they, right away after getting them, they sold for like $14-15. And now they sit for $10 on the marketplace. So I'm like, you know what? When it came time for the Franz Wagner, is it Franz Wagner? Is that who it was the last one? Yeah. I'm like, okay, I got it. Shitty cereal. Let me fire this thing out of here. Okay. At $15. Cool. Well, the floor is like 28 or 29 now. I'm like, okay, where did we go? Why? What am I missing here? Based on the last two patterns, that I screwed this up. But listen, I'm not going to go crazy over $14. We're not talking about like thousands of dollars here. I don't care. Okay. But yeah, no, I haven't participated in the drops. And this is kind of what I told people in the Discord when I was trying to be serious during the AMA. I'm like, if you're so mad and you think that Dapper's stealing all your money, then stop making those bad decisions. Stop buying packs for $69 if you don't think what's in there is worth $69. What are you mad at if you're still doing this? Seriously. And I said, how many of you in here have bought a pack in the last year and you're complaining? If you bought a pack in the last year and you're complaining, it is your fault. Okay. We know what's up now. We know what's up. The secret's out on how these things work. Okay. Yes, the prices of packs, I think they're overpriced, but why are we still buying them? Because people love packs. They just do. Okay. But then you can't complain. End of story. And I love it. A lot of people on our Discord are like, they'll call themselves the biggest moron on the planet. I'm about to buy 10 packs, but I'm a complete idiot. I know I'm an idiot, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm just like, perfect. I love it. And that way you're not going to be mad after, because that's your expectations. You just love that.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I will say, I mean, listen, I don't want to contradict what we said earlier, Phil D, that I think you can be, in terms of being both a lover and a hater at the same time. I think it's okay that you can be a pack participant and also come complain.
Sure.
But what I actually find interesting about this one, because I'm just saying that because I do that. So I buy packs and then I complain as well, mainly with a podcast and newsletter and two Twitter accounts. But what I will say is that one wrinkle that I find really interesting about specifically this Top Shot drop that happened this past week is that, first of all, the general narrative is that there's too much supply, right? And I think most people agree to that. I also saw a lot of people saying that this was a good drop and that it was EV plus on this drop, right? Which is true. Like I did the drop. I got a metallic. I scored a metallic gold pack. I got a Zion. I sold him at $78 to make my money back because I didn't want to complete the set. But he's now running at 99, so it's an EV plus pack drop, right? So it's done well for most people who got in. However, I find the part where people say it's EV plus to be a little bit strange because that's not necessarily that it's new money coming in and it's new money driving up those prices. I think generally people, and I'd love to see numbers on this. And there's no way Dapper would ever share the numbers with me or with you or with anybody else. But I think like a true, like we have to move the true measure of success away from, hey, they released product and it's worth more than what it cost, and more to like a market cap based system or something else. And again, market cap's not fair. And maybe these are depreciating assets, which is kind of what people are saying they are. But to me, or maybe once they use the utility, they go down. But to me, it's like, if people are selling a ton of other stuff to make money to buy this new stuff, that to me is not necessarily like, it's not EV plus for the whole system. But so I just want to kind of clarify that with people like, this was good. All of these were worth a lot more than the pack price. Yes. But if it came at the expense of people selling tons of other stuff, like if people bought this for $69, which is the price, or people are going to go buy that Zion now for $100, but it's coming because they're selling stuff from Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. I don't think that's necessarily EV plus. However, I will say on the other hand, the part I'm conflicted about is whether that actually matters, and whether there should be too many artificial ways for Series 1, Series 2, Series 3 to be propped up over time, right? Like maybe when things come out, their shelf life should be during like that series. And then after that, it should be kind of clear that they're not going to matter that much anymore, outside of being a collector's item, right? Like this Zion is up, I think, for utility in the challenge or whatever. But maybe when Series 4 is done, it's like, hey, that Zion doesn't really matter anymore unless you're trying to climb a Zion leaderboard or whatever else they have set up. I'm a bit conflicted there in terms of like what success in terms of pack drops is. But I think
that's what infuriates people. What you just said, that's the problem. And this is where people have problems, is that they want to buy something and they want to know that it's going to hold its value forever. But that's just not how things work, man. You know, like there's so many things now, even in the real world of collectibles, that were worth so much in the past that are worth nothing now, right? It's just the way it is. They had their period of time and now they're gone. But just a small funny tidbit before you finish on that, LG, on the Spotlight series set is my collecting strategy recently has been with Top Shot has been I'll collect one set from every season. And it has to be a set with like 30 to 50 moments capped. Okay. It has to be a common set. I don't want to spend too much money. And it has to be one set per season. So I'm collecting the cool cats from Series 2, which, you know what, the cool cats for me, it's not because of I know it'll be costly, but cool cats for me was the peak and the mecca of my experience in NFTs, in Web3. It was no better time than that. I'll never find a better time. No matter what happens from here on out, that was my favorite time. We had so many shows around the cool cats, even to the point where, you remember my son and your nephew on the very first drop somehow scored 5 packs. Remember? And he did a stream. There was a billion people in there watching because they were so interested that he got 5 packs when nobody else could get any. Series 3, I'm collecting the Rising Stars because there's a ton of players I love in Rising Stars. It's a set with less than 50 moments. Really cheap to collect the whole set. Only 300 something people have done it, but it's still really cheap. And then I chose Spotlight for Series 4. What I didn't realize is that Spotlight, okay, I looked at the current mint count, but I didn't read what they said in the roadmap for Series 4. Somebody just told me this in our Discord a couple of days ago, is that they expect to have 150 moments in the Spotlight series. I'm like, wait a second here. What? No, I'm collecting these things thinking they're capped at like 50. I'm like, even 50 is a lot for me. I only want 30.
Phil, there's only 55 so far.
But that's
in
why
this series. Where are the other 100 going to come from? There's only like 15 games left.
So when I started collecting, I figured I'm good. I'm good because there's only 50 right now. And this is perfect. They're all cheap. They're all $2, except a couple that are like $40, whatever. I'll complete the set. Only 300 people have completed it. It's kind of special. It's all good players, right? A lot of them are good players. And then someone just completely shattered my like dreams and said that Spotlight series that you're collecting, there's going to be 150 of them. I'm like, what? Hold on a second here. And like you said, when the hell are they coming out? Like, what is this? Are we going to get wrecked with these at the end there where they have a drop of like 1 million Spotlight? Whatever. I still enjoy it. I'm just saying, I don't know. I needed something to do. I've got almost every single Canadian player moment. I've got a ton of the Raptors ones. I'm finally in the top 10% for Raptors on the leaderboard. That's the first time I make it there. Pretty proud of that. It's like, I didn't know. I was like ranked like 1600 on the Raptors leaderboard. I bought some like Norman Powell and it jumped me like a gazillion spots. I was like, oh shit. I don't know what I completed. I completed something by buying that Norman Powell.
Nice.
But it jumped me into the top 10%. I'm like, I'll finally maybe get a reward for this at some point.
Hey, nice.
Right. But no, hey, I
That's
love
great.
it. Right. I didn't even know you could check by player where you rank. That's really cool.
Yes. Yeah. So they rolled that out.
Really cool.
So what they're planning to do at the end of the season is give out award-based leaderboard rewards. So like defensive player of the year and stuff like that. Yeah, they mentioned that at the start of the year that they're going to do that.
I checked SGA and I'm ranked like 1200. I'm like, okay, cool. That's not too bad. I mean, I'm not a master collector.
Listen, Phil D, I will say this about Top Shot, and I've kind of written this in the newsletter a few times, that it's like I'm trying to kind of develop like a recurring thesis on Top Shot for me personally, because it's like, to me, as much as if you cut out all the Roham and the leadership change and all the really honestly negative noise, and it's not negative noise, it's based in fact. Like there's a lot of really terrible things. There's a lot of shitty things, a lot of promises that weren't kept, oversupplied. There's a lot of, it's based on a lot of stuff. But to me, it's like, if you look at the core product and kind of like the core experience, there's some of the stuff that Roham talks about, and you don't expect any value whatsoever. Like if you look at it as like every dollar you put into this will never, ever, ever come back to you, or you can expect it to, if ever you want to sell your collection, you'll get 25% of the value back. I do think there's a good product, and I do think some of those smaller features of like leaderboards and rewards and all that kind of stuff is really, really good. The part where they take a step backwards often, all that kind of stuff, is where they fuck those up, right? Like the LeBron reward for his record breaker. It wasn't clear which of the VIPs would get which serial number in the top 30. And like, that's fucked up. You know what I mean? Because those guys are spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on this stuff. So it's like, there's a lot of little bits like that. That's like, I don't know, maybe the new head of commercial is going to figure that out. But it's like, I think what keeps us all here, Filthy, and you're saying like, why do you buy, people in the chat, bring it all the way back to that. Why are they buying packs? Or why are they buying packs and then complaining? Why don't you just stop buying packs? It's like, at the end of the day, it's not like going on this website is a shitty experience, right? It's like you go on it and you're like, this is cool. You're like, I like Kevin Durant or John Morant or Jimmy Butler or Canadian players, Benedict Mathurin. Like, I'm kind of a card collector. I want to do that. There's other little interesting features like leaderboards and sets and challenges. Like, all those things are really good. It's honestly like the admin layer that's really challenging, and that has been challenging for a long time, on top of, the incredibly heavy baggage of having been the first real boom for NFTs in terms of this current mainstream crowd, and the first real friggin' dip. So it's like, I don't have the thesis on there, but it's like, I think the general narrative as well, when you're talking on the more positive side, is like, the product is great. Right. So it's like, how do you even bring new people in when you have such negative stuff? And also there's still times where the team can't get out of their own way. So even like for you, right, as much as we're like, hey, talking shit, it's like, you're still going in there a couple times a week and buying a couple things that you like and spending a little bit of money and trying to get into Cool Cats. Also, Phil, like the Cool Cats lounge, the Cool Cats set is $1,300.
It is, which is actually really not that bad, but it's like, for me, it's more about the sentimental value of it, right? Like Cool Cats for us, man, I was doing spaces with 400 or 500 people to discuss the potential next 5 base moments that were going to be included in the challenge, right? And that would set off sprees of buying, and people would send me like theories. People like quit their jobs to just do theories on Cool Cats. So like, if I can buy, some guy sent me the math. He's like, if Fred VanVleet Series 2 base is part of the next Cool Cats challenge, and I buy 500 of them, and he did. If each one goes from $2 to 40, 50, $100, do the math. He's like, that's more than I make in a year at work. He's like, I'm taking that chance. So he bought 500 of them. Nothing happened. But those were the greatest times, and I feel that not attainable back then, but now over time, it doesn't have to be in one shot, man. There's no pressure to do it all in one shot. And the more I look at that Luka moment, the more I look at that LaMelo moment, they're going down and down and down. LaMelo is now below $900. It was that way $860 last week at some point as a floor. There will be people looking to sell off as we go on, and as the perks and benefits stop. I'm not looking to be in the NLL lounge. That'll be pretty cool, but I just want the set. That's it. Eventually, I want the set.
You're going to get some messages from the Nine Lives Lounge people after this.
Oh, absolutely.
Need you in here.
No. I need a message from Osimo. He's got like 30 Cool Cat.
Does he still? Okay. Does he still have all those?
The anniversary of me meeting Osimo randomly is a year ago yesterday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Where I was just chilling with 90s fan from our Discord in Detroit. And I see this dude. He comes to our table, throws his beer down on our table at a hold on. The meet and greet was for Ben Wallace. It actually ended up being Isaiah Thomas that showed up just to scream at everybody and say, "Hey, I'm Isaiah Thomas. What's up?" But Awesemo just throws his drink down, him and his buddy.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's Awesemo. I'm like, man, what in the world are you doing here? Anyways, so it was the anniversary was a year yesterday. Awesome. Really cool experience, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Cool Cats I could talk Cool Cats all day. That's why I want to collect that set. Right?
Wow. So, get Phil in the fucking Nine Lives Lounge Discord. Oh my God. Phil has a super secret but massive crush on Cool Cats. Phil wants to be part of the Soho House of NBA Top Shot of Dapper Labs, where you get one more Roham text AMA than everybody else.
Does that make me a VIP though? Were people in the
lives? No, VIP is totally separate. No.
They must be
VIP.
Furious. They must
No. VIP is a totally separate thing. VIP is you spend like literally $100,000 on Dapper stuff.
I also love that VIPs did not have an option to be anonymous in their questions. It's like you're exposed for asking that. You would think that something like that, some would be uncomfortable in kind of showing who they are.
No, I want to see them ask the. No, I don't want any anonymous questions. Not for an AMA. I want to know who's asking that shit.
There's some at the top, the big collectors that probably have a good relationship, not with Roham directly, but just in general, and don't want to tarnish that and didn't want to ask the big questions and show their name. Do you know what I mean? I think you would have got a bit more value if you let some of the VIPs go in as anonymous.
Phil, or if some of the more vocal VIPs sold one of their question slots as an NFT to the anonymous people. Like that's totally something that would make sense.
Go public. Went for $6.
Okay, how about this, Phil? How about this format for the next AMA where Roham says, because I counted Roham's messages after for the newsletter to see how many things he answered, and he wrote like maybe 45 times back to people in like a 90-minute span.
That's a lot.
So he wrote back every 2 minutes, right? So it's a lot. So let's say that next AMA Roham will answer 25 questions. Okay, so let's do that. But whoever asked the questions, you auction that or you raffle that off to VIPs, and then the VIPs can sell their question slot as an NFT. And Roham has to answer each question. He cannot select the question. There's another thing in the AMA. So people started calling. That's one thing that the VIPs started doing because Roham wasn't answering the supply question.
Yes,
they all started ganging up and saying like, we're not going to keep asking questions until you answer this question. And he finally did. Yes. So I think that's like you sell up, you raffle off the 25 question slots, and then the VIPs that's more value for the VIPs. They can sell those if they want as NFTs, right? Like I think then they can either keep their slot, or if it doesn't matter to them, they can sell it and they get a bit of money, and then some total random gets to ask a question.
It would be the one guy that buys all of them first and foremost to ask the same question probably 100 times.
That'd be even better.
For anyone listening that's wondering why we're still talking about this, I just have to put a bit of context here. The plan was to only mention this briefly, sort of the AMA. Okay, go over a couple of different topics, and I think we're almost an hour into this, LG. So it was definitely the event of the week. It was.
I'll be honest with you. There's not that much else going on. Okay, like there's no new scandal. There's no new scandal from this more So it's
I've been waiting. I've been waiting.
And this is and listen, Phil D. Also, this is kind of like we can move on now, but it's like this is a weird time in sports, right? It was like, well, fuck it. NBA, NHL, All-Star games are done. Trade deadlines are done. Spring training has started, which is like, oh, okay, somebody gets injured. There's some weird thing that happens. World Baseball Classic is fun, but again, that's a very small thing. And you watch that, you realize there's countries you didn't even know had baseball teams that are playing, like England,
or guys you had no idea had associations with those countries.
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff like that, and then it's like we're all waiting for March Madness. In a week today, we're filling out brackets, but we're not there yet. Right. So it's like it's kind of a weird time where it's like, listen, major leagues like NBA, NHL, like we all just want the season to finish. It's like let's just get a freaking playoffs. Like let's just get there. Like we don't need these extra games. Like just make the playoffs start right now. That'd be perfect.
Agree. But LG, what do you think about Ja Morant? Tell me what you think about Ja.
Oh, you want to talk Ja?
I do want to talk Ja because that applies to not just NFTs. That applies to everybody.
Yeah. I did check. I did actually, speaking of NFTs, I did go and check today whether his moments or his Sorare cards had taken a hit. They have not.
No,
generally Sorare NBA is down because it's the end of the season.
Yeah,
but otherwise, but I don't know. No, especially for Sorare, because then he has no utility for this. Is the thing. I did read this morning that him having, because where was the nightclub he was at? It was in Denver. It was in Denver where he
Oh,
flashed.
is that where it was? I thought it was in Memphis. I didn't know it was in Denver.
Oh, was it in Memphis?
No, it has to be Denver because the Colorado police are investigating. You're right.
Yes. So okay. So for anybody who hasn't seen this, again, the sports world, John Morant has been in trouble lately. He's now away from the team. Has been suspended from the team.
Superstar of the future in the NBA. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Current superstar and the face of the league the next 10.
Oh, and a top 10 MVP vote getter, not an MVP candidate, but a top, he'll get a couple third place votes or something like that. So not out of the question there. Second in the West. So basically last week he was accused of threatening a couple teenagers, right, with his gun, I think, or something like what he threatened them or
something like that. Yeah,
so last summer he was accused. Yeah, that he was in a car and he pointed his gun at some teenagers in another car, basically, something like that, right? And then that came out last week. They're investigating. That's in the news. And then he's doing an Instagram live on Friday.
Hold on. We can't leave something out. There's 2 weeks ago when the Indiana Pacers were leaving the Memphis arena. Apparently,
that's when he pointed the gun.
No, this is different than the one you're talking about. The assaulting the teenager was from the summer. That's a different
assaulting
story.
The teenager. That's what he did. He assaulted the
teenager. He didn't point a gun, but his goons apparently were pointing guns with lasers at the Indiana Pacers players and saying what's up to them in the back where they get on the bus. Okay. Yeah. About that. So there's that incident recently. And then LG, what happened 2 days ago on the weekend?
Well, he was streaming himself live on Instagram live from a nightclub, I believe in Denver, and he flashed a gun. He flashed a gun, and I guess because he's, and it felt like it was kind of a response to all the allegations and stuff like that. But now has been.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, basically, now has been suspended by the team. Has issued, the obligatory statement of I've got to take some time away and think about my behavior.
I didn't like it. I didn't like that statement. I didn't think. I thought it was BS. This whole stress thing. Give me a break, man. We all go through stress. We probably go through more stress than you do, Judd. Just so you know. Of our everyday lives. And if you're dealing with stress, you can't blame that on stress, man. You're just immature. Yeah. You're just immature. You got caught doing stupid things. Will he do it again? I don't know. The only thing for me is that one of the funniest things I saw posted on the weekend was a quote from DJ Academics, who's involved in the hip hop scene and all that with a lot of rappers. He has a lot of association with, insider news with the rap world and the hip hop world. And he said that John Morant has the opportunity to become the very first player in NBA history to go from the NBA to the hood and not from the hood to the NBA. And I just thought that was hilarious because he was losing his mind, right? As in, John Morant, for people who don't know, actually grew up in a pretty good upbringing, mom and dad, good family, good home, all that stuff. No issues with the law, very good. As opposed to a lot of players in the NBA who grew up in really brutal areas. Some of them don't have 2 parents or even 1 parent. They grew up in foster homes and they found a way to get through, right? I think Dame Lillard was one of the guys that was used as an example of that, right?
Sport was a way out, for some.
So, but I thought that comment was hilarious, kind of taking a shot at Josh, saying he's the first one who's going to go from the NBA to the hood. Because, if you keep this up, you're going to lose all your endorsements. You're going to lose everything you have. And no matter how good you are, we don't really care. It's not going to fly with any of the, so
I don't know enough about Ja and his childhood and all that kind of stuff. Ja, by a lot of cases, still a really young guy. He's still 22, right? So, I've always told people that if I was a famous pro athlete when I was 22, then my behavior would be completely inexcusable as well. Not that I flashed guns at people or anything like that, but who knows? I can't imagine having that pressure. And then also because I like to party. I didn't do anything fucking messed up when I partied, but it's just being out at the club the night before the game is I would have done that for sure. Not that, he's accused of way worse than that. So I don't know. I'm not somebody who wants to judge him. I think if anything, it's interesting that it's to see that the NBA will not hesitate to clamp down on one of their biggest stars. Right. And I think so. He's not getting the star treatment for this. They're coming at him pretty hard. The other thing I wanted to say to you, Phil, is that what I saw something this morning, and I don't know how true this is, but they're saying that if Ja had the gun in Denver and he brought it on the team playing with him, then that could carry a 50-game suspension from the NBA because they have obviously an incredibly strict policy that you can't travel around with the team with a freaking gun in your bag. So they're saying that, if that is in fact what happened, then that, that's a pretty deep suspension, deep into next season as well, right?
That'll be
there's
really,
only 15 games on the schedule. Yeah, it'll be hard to prove. Well, yeah,
He'll just say it belonged to one of his buddies and they drove there. He'll make up some story. I mean, I don't think he'll. I don't think there's too many legs there. But we don't know anything about this, right? But like you said,
Hey,
he's
but listen,
beyond
man,
the
sometimes when people are pressed, they're honest about it. You know what I mean? Like he could be, who knows, right? Like, but you know what I'm saying though, right? It's like sometimes people will be honest when they don't need to be, you know, because they really want to be honest. So who knows? You know, I if he needs help, I hope he gets it. It's not a good look for the NBA. NBA has been trying to really clean up their shit for the last 20 plus years. And I find what I do hope, obviously, you know, it's a bad image. Hopefully he hasn't killed anybody in the past, like you know, like this happened to pro athletes where it turns out that that's happened. So hopefully he's never actually harmed anybody and doesn't harm anybody. And hopefully his career doesn't suffer immensely, because I think sometimes when some of these players get into this kind of scandal, they don't recover mentally. Like Gilbert Arenas is a really good example of that, right? Where it's like, you know, he was like the, you know, one of the kings in the NBA for a little bit there, and then had his whole gun incident, and it's like, I don't think you heard much about from Gilbert Arenas after that. So hopefully it's something that you know, hopefully that promise is still there.
We heard a lot about Gilbert Arenas in the last week. I'll tell you that.
Yes. Yeah. Those memories came flooding back, man. That, yeah. And also not the only high profile gun incident as well, Phil D, something that you and I were chatting about offline in the last couple of weeks with Brandon Miller. The prospect, the NBA prospect, where
yeah, that's, man.
Well, I mean, just like while we're on the theme of it, and you know, he's gonna be playing March Madness next week, though. But that, you know, he had a pretty nasty story as well, being accused of having supplied a teammate a gun where that gun was then used to kill somebody. So,
well, for context, for context, this is a projected top 10 pick in the NBA draft, scheduled to make millions and millions of dollars with whatever contract he signs in his first year in the NBA. However that works. I'm not sure how it works in the NBA, but who was involved, and he's a superstar in college basketball for the Alabama Crimson Tide. A couple of weeks ago, or a month or 2 months ago, whenever it was, a current player for the University of Alabama ended up shooting a pregnant woman dead, whether it's his girlfriend, his friend, I don't know who it was. And this basketball player, who was the star on the team, was accused of providing the gun for the other player when he did it. Now he's come out and said, and the police have said that this is true. He's come out and said he had no idea that he was providing a gun for this type of act. He also had no idea that he had a gun in the car and that's what he was giving to the other player. Because what happened is apparently he dropped the other guys off at the club or something. He went to Waffle House or wherever he went to have dinner. Then he got a call, hey, you need to come back to the club. He went back to the club. They grabbed something from the car and did their thing. Okay. Now, this is the news broke last Tuesday. Was it last Tuesday or the Tuesday before? I'm not sure, LG. And you messaged me about this. And he played the next night for the University of Alabama, which was very controversial.
You messaged me about this.
No, you asked me actually if I heard about the Brandon Miller story. You actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So and he didn't just play. He had a career game. This is
after an insane game, one in overtime,
a murder where lives were lost. And yeah, it didn't sit well with a lot of people. And it's just like, it makes you wonder, what is wrong with these guys? It really does. Like, I don't understand. Okay. So many have come through the system and not done this kind of stuff. So why do some of them even bother when you're this close to living your dream? And it goes back to a lot of the upbringing. Some of them, this is life-changing for their families as well. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you're putting that in jeopardy. And here's another example. What about that projected top pick in the NFL draft? Who now, it just came out, the story a couple of days ago, that he was involved in that fatal University of Georgia crash that claimed a staffer and a linebacker on the team.
That's right.
Right? He apparently was racing them, and he lied about it. He left the scene after the crash. Like, you're a projected number one pick. You're about to cash in gazillions of dollars, and you're really doing this type of stuff. But hey, that's
but Phil, it's so easy to look at it that way as guys who are old,
right?
As guys who like, listen, Phil, if we were pro athletes, like we'd be freaking retired at this point, pretty much, right? It's like, I think it's easy, but I think it's a completely different circumstance to have a bit of empathy for them. It's just like, I think you're 19, 20, 21. It's like, you've been given everything and you've been the best player on the best team for a long time, and you have that invincibility feeling, and you don't realize that it's like, hey, one day you're not going to be able to play, you're going to be old, and you're going to need all the you're going to want the money that you're making, and how easily it can be taken away, right? And it's also, you don't know who's surrounding these guys, you don't know who their inner circle is, who's encouraging them or whatever. It's like, listen, if I if at this point in my life, I still had a bunch of 19-year-olds advising me on what I should do every day, who I should associate myself with, or where I should go out to party, I don't know. My life would be kind of messed up, honestly. If my friends were 19, I only did things with them. Like, it's like I'm in my late 30s. It's, you know, I'm smarter now. Yeah, I meet people that are 19. I'm like, stop doing like 99% of the things you're doing. Like, that's my, you know, when I meet people that are that age. So
that's true. You're right.
So anyways, I'm just saying I think it's hard and it's unfortunate to still see it happen this day and age. So, well, that's pretty heavy, Phil. I still wanted to ask you about Dapper, but maybe let's move on because we're already pretty deep into this one. Okay, 3 more things to talk about, and I promise we're going to talk about them a lot faster than we did on the Dapper stuff. The Dapper stuff's juicy. It was always fun to talk about the Dapper stuff. And we do have another Top Shot question at the very end. That's going to be the hot take from the audience, which we asked you guys on Twitter. Best take as chosen by Phil D is going to get a prize. So, anyways, let's talk. Phil, Draft Kings Reignmakers, their season is done. PGA launching this week. A lot of people saying, obviously, it's very pricey. We talked about it last week. You're unable to play, so I feel like we're only going to cover it. We're only going to cover it so much on First Mint, mainly because DFS is banned in a lot of places, including Ontario as of last year for Phil D, so he can't play DraftKings right now. But what I did want to talk about is comparing them to NFL All Day, because we finally got some numbers thanks to a guy called Kevin NFT, who claims on Twitter that he is a top 10 DraftKings Reignmakers NFL player. He and his team, he says, were able to scrape the API and bring up the numbers for the first season of Reignmakers for their NFL product. And of course, this is what our audience wants. I'm going to compare those numbers to NFL All Day numbers for the same time frame. Okay, Phil D, are you ready?
All right, I am ready.
So in their first season, and this is starting like at the end of August, basically up until now, DraftKings Reignmakers has done, well, we don't know this number for All Day, but it's probably a lot. They have done $35 million in pack sales and $39 million in secondary market, as in their stuff was traded. And 5% of that goes to them. 5% goes to the NFLPA. So it's a 10% fee for Reignmakers. But they did $39 million in secondary compared to All Day, which did $32 million in secondary. And that's not All Day all the way back to the beginning. That's like from the start of the season until now, like September 1st to through the end of February, basically. So
that's close. That's very close.
Relatively comparable numbers. I don't know what Dapper's take is on the pack sales. I think they did have some pretty big pack sales, but I think that the bigger pack sales might have been last year, although they did have some historical ones this season. So I don't think their numbers as big as $35 million made in packs. However, out of the $35 million in packs that Reignmakers did sell, Kevin is saying that they paid out about $22 million in prizes.
Wow. Okay.
So
that's different.
Reignmakers only made $12 million from packs plus another $2 million from secondary sales. So not an unsuccessful season. They made $14 million from that, but not as big a juicy number as you think. That's a lot of money to pay out, Phil. That's fucking cash they're paying out. That's not a product. That's cash.
But don't forget that DraftKings is also a sports book, a casino, a hub for DFS. They are making major money on that side of things. Okay. All Day is not. They're not, they've got All Day is All Day. Do you know what I mean? There's no other side division. So it's almost like DraftKings is kind of doing this to add a new layer to fandom and to their people for just different options, right? While still making money. So it doesn't look like their main interest is to make gazillions of dollars right now. But it seems like people put a lot of money into this to the point where they enjoy it. And I think that goes a long way, because if they're playing Reignmakers, they're probably playing DFS, they're probably betting on sports, they're probably doing all the other stuff. And I know for a fact when I used to play DFS, LG, when I got paid out in terms of if I won a contest playing DFS and I won like a couple $100, it was going right back in.
Going right back in, yeah.
Right back in. It wasn't being withdrawn.
It's true.
Unless I won millions of dollars, which never happened. It was going right back in to continue playing because I enjoyed playing, right? So I think those are impressive numbers. I didn't know it was that much. I had no idea.
Yeah. And actually, I've been tracking the PGA stuff. I'm in the Discord there. Own the Moment just announced a partnership there today, and the chat is very active. You know, they've got a lot of people getting in on this, even though their Green Pass last week didn't sell as much as they hoped. Probably, I think a lot of people are going to go for those packs. And you know, golf is huge. It's the first like real golf NFTs, right? And the ones you can actually play. So I'm going to be very keen to see that. And they also have a UFC product, probably not nearly as big, but also pretty substantial. And Phil, in terms of actual players, they are reporting that they had 113,000 users playing Reignmakers this season.
Come on, no way.
Yes, and if you want to compare that to all day,
packs.
Yeah, because you can play for free. Right? Yeah, it's similar to Sorare.
Yeah.
Sorare, like, you know, whatever it is, every week there's like 100,000 people that play soccer, right? So again, you can play, but I'm not sure if those are users or if those are buyers, though. But if you want to compare so I'm not sure if those are buyers, and that's a lot. But buyers, unique buyers on NFL All Day lifetime, I don't have it for the season, but I have it lifetime, is 102,000. So you could argue a lot more active users on, or relative, just a bit more active users on DraftKings Reignmakers than there have been on All Day. Yeah,
they have a bigger audience to draw from. People who are already
they just get they have a giant email list of DraftKings, right?
That's it.
Although NFL did plug All Day a few times to their audience and on Thursday Night Football and all that kind of stuff. But again, a bit of a different draw.
Not all those people are into anything digital, right?
No, and Reignmakers is such like just a step to the right, basically, of what DFS is. It's like pretty much the same thing, except you can sell them after. Like it's very similar. So that's pretty good numbers. But again, something to watch, right? Because that's freaking substantial, man. And you want to talk numbers
future. I'd say more than immediate future, anyways, in terms of
that's what I think. That's also why Sorare is doing so well as well, right? Is that it's like, well, no, it's something that makes a lot of sense because it's really easy to understand. Whereas like collectibles, yes, that's easy to understand. The part where it's only an NFT, that's fucking hard, man. Like that's a hard pill to swallow. A lot of people still collect cards, but buying the NFT is different. Whereas a lot of people play DFS. When you play DFS, there's no physical component to it. There's no like, you never like. When's the last time? Actually, I have a Twitter post ready for this for first mint, but it's like for NCAA bracket. When's the last time you filled it out with a pen and paper? You know what I mean? It's like maybe you'd cut it out of the Toronto Star, the next morning or something like that. We'd fill it out and put it on the fridge or some shit. But like you haven't done that in 20 years, right? So DFS is something that's already been in a phone, in a computer for a really long time. Versus like card collecting or collectibles is something that hasn't been only in the computer in a really long time, right? Or hasn't been, is largely outside of that. Phil,
I just want to tell a real quick DraftKings story because I've never.
Please,
I've it's always been just for fun for me. When we weren't banned from playing it, it was just $5 lineups for 1 week. So the biggest prize I ever won was a smaller contest. The first prize was $500, and I won it, I think, on the last play of the game when the other person had a player and he was subbed out or something like that. And I was up by like 0.5. Anyways, I finished first. So I'm like, cool. I'm finally going to get $500. When I read the fine print, it was only $5 to enter. I read the fine print. The $500 was not $500. It was 2 tickets to WrestleMania in San Francisco. And I'm just like, okay. You mean like this weekend, WrestleMania in San Francisco? All right. So now what? Like, what do I do with this? So I literally went on Twitter and I wrote, wish I could take my son or daughter. I just wrote the word son and daughter to WrestleMania. Okay. And I found this guy somewhere in California who says he could wish he could take his son to WrestleMania, but I guess didn't have the money. And I DM'd this guy because I asked DraftKings, can I have those tickets sent? Like they wanted to send
search them. You searched.
Yeah, I searched those exact words.
So you didn't write it. You searched it. Yeah.
I searched the exact words on Twitter. Wish I could take my son, daughter to WrestleMania. Because I knew somebody would be like, I don't have the money maybe or whatever. And I wish I could take them.
Yeah.
So the first guy I found and I DM'd them. And after asking DraftKings if they would forward them to someone else instead of my address, because they wanted to send them to me. I'm like, well, I probably can't go. Can you send them to someone else if I give you an address? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I found this guy. And he ended up taking his kid to WrestleMania, which was really cool, to be honest. Like, I didn't care about the prize at this point. Like, I lose most of the DFS contests I enter anyways. So for me, if I wasn't going to get the $500, I don't give a shit. I don't have time to sell them. I don't care about selling them. Let's just do something really cool. And this is back when Twitter, like, man, I don't know. When people weren't too into Twitter, but it's like 5-6 years ago. And I don't know. Whenever it was in San Francisco is when it happened. And then the guy posted pictures, man. It was a really cool experience. So, but that's my claim to fame. That's my biggest win.
Phil, you know what you missed at that
Aw.
WrestleMania? I'm just looking. It's very kind
Cue
of
the
you, Phil
Full
D.
House music. Yeah,
That
I
guy's
know.
gonna pay it. That guy paid it forward. He paid it forward to Kevin Spacey, who then paid it forward to
Probably
Haley
not. He
Joel
probably
Osment.
murdered someone like a couple days later or something like that. Like,
What?
who knows? I don't know. In
Why is
Cali,
it a
they kill each
murder
other at
story?
sporting events, man. When Dodgers and Giants is like someone always
Oh, it's
dies in the parking
terrible.
lot. Yeah, you know what I mean. So
That's
who knows?
once. That's once.
No, that's every
Hold
single
on.
time.
No. I don't want to talk about more murders. We already talked. There's already been enough murder gun talk on this show. What I do want to tell you is that you know what you missed at that WrestleMania 31, which was March 29th, 2015. So 8 years ago.
2015. Oh shit, 8 years ago. Wow. So yeah, Twitter was.
You know what you missed? You missed Sting's debut match in the WWE and his only WrestleMania match. Sting, who is now in the AEW and is now like literally like 63 years old.
90 years old, all crusty. That's amazing. Wow, I had no idea it was that long ago. In my mind, it was 5 years ago. That's way back. Yeah, we
pandemic adds a couple years to your
really
brain.
Cool, man. I'll have to find that.
Man. Well, that's very nice of you, Phil D. Speaking, like, I got to turn it back to Sorare really quick while we're talking fantasy. So Sorare, kind of in a weird spot right now. Last week they launched coin rewards for soccer, which are basically designed. This is actually kind of interesting. It's designed to incentivize you to finish your game weeks, even if you don't win a prize. Because basically, people don't play Sorare. This is how it works. Like the top 10% basically of every tournament wins something, either like a money if you're playing, or ETH if you're playing soccer, or a new card if you're playing MLB or NBA. But if you let's say you enter a contest that's 10,000 entries and you finish outside of the top 1,000, you don't win anything. But these coins are going to be kind of weighed rewards, at least for soccer for now. And those coins aren't worth anything, but you can use them in the Sorare shop to buy like merch and other cards or whatever, which is cool. Kind of a transition point right now for Sorare as well, though, because they, NBA prices are down, which is normal. Like, they're losing utility. So it's very normal, I think, for that to happen. I've been looking at MLB data, which again, nothing new in MLB, but I've been looking at MLB data to kind of correlate that it's like, yeah, towards the end of a season, things go down. I've also reached out to John Nellis, the guru basically of Sorare, to ask him if that's kind of what it looks like. But Sorare did break their own record last month with 51,000 buyers as per Crypto Slam on their marketplace, breaking their own record, which was set in January, of 50,000. So right now, again, Phil D, we're saying fantasy being like a really easily applicable thing here. Sorare definitely growing in popularity. And again, probably that's a lot of people coming in for EPL because they watched the English Premier League last month for the soccer side. I don't think it's people coming in for NBA or MLB yet, but still not small numbers, Phil D.
Not small numbers. It's weird because with Sorare, they've kind of lost me. I've kind of just been out of it for a little while. When I set lineups the first, up until like a few weeks ago,
for NBA,
even soccer.
Yeah.
But when they changed the format with soccer a little bit to the point where playing for free was kind of more complicated. And
they've made it kind of annoying to play for free now. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with me, right? Like I do have limited cards in all sports, but not many. So for me, I'm not really a competitor. And for the free aspect of the NBA, it was always fun to play free contests and be able to win some of the limited or rare or super or whatever, right? But they completely took that away. Every single free contest now is just for more comments, which I don't want more comments because I literally have almost all of them. You know what I mean? Like tier 1, I've got everybody now. So now it becomes a game of who's better at DFS, as opposed to before it was more of a game of what you have and what you were able to earn, right? And you had an advantage over others. Now everybody's got everybody. So unless you're good at DFS, which I'm actually really not, then you're done with. And this is what was happening. I wasn't finishing in the top anything for anything. And I wasn't even playing for real cards anymore. So I kind of gave up. But those are impressive numbers. And I'll be interested to see, like you said, I know you're all over this, and it's probably another topic you want to bring up. I want to see what happens with baseball because we're getting super close here. And we talked about this before. Will it be the European, football crowd that jumps over and are just good at Sorare, right?
Yeah.
Or is it, or are they going to capture the baseball audience, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to talk baseball last, so it's a good transition to that. Okay. Is that it's like at this point, like, I think basically any sport that doesn't have a major product out there in NFTs has a lot of potential, right? Like PGA, it's like, all right, well, Reingmakers is putting it out there. Let's see how they do, because there are a lot of PGA fans. I think there would be a market for PGA collectibles. I don't know if they have a partner for that. Maybe that's something Dapper is furiously trying to fight for, or I don't know who else. I don't even know who else would get PGA rights right now at this point for collectibles. Like Recur is kind of dead, so's Candy. So I don't know if I don't know who else besides Dapper, but I think it's something people would absolutely love. I think you want to talk about collecting highlights. Like, holy shit, do people ever want to collect like Tiger Woods highlights? Like, oh my god, of course, right? Like, it's some of the most classic moments, and a lot of other golfers as well. But really, golf world still kind of revolves around Tiger in a way, at least for for casuals like me. But I think that there's very few sports out there, and I'm actually planning, Phil D, I'm planning a little thread or newsletter that I'm going to put out this week, I hope, about baseball. There are very few sports out there that have more potential in NFTs and collecting than baseball. And I think that both platforms right now who have the licenses, and again, this is, I always want to caveat, it's not an attack on anybody personally or their performance or anything like that. But both Candy and Sorare, to me, are so far from nailing it in terms of what they could do. Frick it, I'll start with Candy, which has had a lot of struggles, and we worked with them in the past. So full caveat, we did partner with them last year to launch. There's no deeper, older sports collectible, Phil D, than baseball cards. Like, that is the most absolute most fucking traditional thing you could do. Yep. And there's, to me, like, if there's anybody who should be at card collector shows, who should be like, Top Shot's starting to do that, which is cool. That's really good. Top Shot's doing there. If there's anybody who should be there, it's Candy. And if there's any product that I think has been like totally fumbled in terms of like supply and actually just positioning it and putting it in front of the right people, it's Candy. Like, Candy literally is like carbon copy card collecting. Like, there's so much you can launch there. And to me, like, the fact that it's not more popular as a straight up collectible is a total travesty. Like, I think, that's exactly what it is, Phil. No. It sucks. Like, obviously Top Shot should be more popular. It sucks the same way, but it's like, no. Like, baseball cards, like, there's no better home run than baseball card collectibles. Like, that is the most classic thing. And through a mix of obviously some really bad leadership, because Fanatics has divested their share in it. They're not even part of it. Michael Rubin is now saying that NFTs are fucking dead. Like, what a loser after starting this company just 2 years ago. And even one of your favorite people to pick on, Gary Vee, also has not. I looked, Phil D. Gary Vee has tweeted 3 times ever about Candy. Like, it's like, what a fucking joke. Like, it's just like, so Candy is something. And listen, even in First Mint, like, we were close with Usman, who used to work there. We've been close to some of their other guys. Like, we like the team, we like the product is pretty good, but like, the fact that they haven't found a way to make that more popular, to me, is absolutely freaking berserk. And either like the IP needs to move or they need to get their shit together. So to me, like, and there's that. And then also, Phil, like, do you know what the second most popular DFS is sport wise after NFL? It's fucking baseball. It's not NBA. It's not hockey.
It's for everything
every day. It's every freaking day. Like, in terms of like, and it's not a close second, but it's distant from third in terms of how popular baseball is for DFS. Baseball, an incredibly long history of stat keeping, predictions. Now, the origin of modern data science in sports with Moneyball, all that kind of stuff. Like DFS baseball is, it should absolutely fucking work. I think, to me, I've been following the Sorare stuff for a long time, following what they're saying for this. They've already delayed the announcement of their plans for Series 2 for MLB. It was supposed to come out today on Monday, and now they said it's going to come out sometime soon. I think that they need to nail this, because I think it's like, listen, like even doing soccer DFS, Phil, is a harder sell than soccer MLB. Even doing NBA DFS is a harder sell than DFS for baseball. But still, both platforms, Candy and Sorare, MLB, were 25 days out from opening day. Both platforms have less than 300 weekly buyers. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that is an absolutely ridiculous. So to me, they are dropping the ball big time. Like, baseball is going to absolute screw job right now in terms of its NFTs, and it's really disappointing, honestly.
I agree, man. I mean, listen, there is time, but you know exactly where the NBA crowd's going to be looking to go once that season is kind of wrapped up. And it's always MLB. The reason those numbers are like that, LG, is because in the summer, there is nothing else going on. There just isn't.
Exactly.
But you can still get your fill of DFS and whatever else you need because of baseball. There is nothing.
Yes.
European basketball leagues are not going on. No basketball leagues are going on. The MLS is the only soccer league going on all summer. Okay, the other leagues wrap up in June or whatever it is. The NFL, not happening. XFL will be done as well. You can go on and on. The NHL, not happening, not back until September, October, November, whenever. There is literally nothing unless you're into Aussie rules football and stuff like that.
And
But
then there's
MLB is
one-offs, right?
massive.
Like there's golf tournaments, there's tennis tournaments,
Sure.
there's Tour de France, like there's other like small things like that happen. There's F1 now, which is obviously really popular in North America and way more than it used to be. But in terms of traditionals, again, like you want to talk like DFS,
Once
it's
a
like
week
no,
again, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, baseball dominates in the summer. And again, as we learned, actually we learned this from Janie, the former GM of Top Shot, very controversial now. But one thing that she said that always stick with me, because she worked at EA and Draft Kings and Reddit, all these places that would have given her access to the data. There is no bigger interest in a sports league than when the sports league starts, right? So for DraftKings, it's like, well, listen, when the NFL season is starting, that is the peak, and it's a huge dip after that, both for viewers, bets, all that kind of stuff. So it's like we are. I would say now, Phil, we are in the window of peak MLB interest, right? Anybody who plays DFS MLB head to head. Anybody who places bets, anybody who does collectibles, now is the time when it matters the most. And plus, there's World Baseball Classic literally starting tomorrow. So it's like the fact that neither of these really have their shit together. And I will say, Candy is announcing their plans on March 15th. So maybe they'll have something fancy then. It's perfect time to announce, right during March Madness. It's excellent timing. So, but, so I think that, wait and see, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more on the podcast next week and the week after. But to me, like, this is an enormous missed opportunity. Bear market, who cares? Like this is the market is there for this, and neither of them really seem to be able to get it.
Well, we'll see what happens, right? I mean, yeah. Are you staying up to watch Netherlands and Cuba? 8 p.m.
No,
your time.
No, I'm not watching that. I've got the Canadian games bookmarked, so or in the calendar, and they're all relatively reasonable times for me. They're all like 3 in the afternoon, so going to be pretty, or 12 in the afternoon, except for the late one. I forgot who they're playing. Their second game is against, but 7 o'clock.
If you were able to set Sorare lineups or something like that with players from these games, would you be staying up to watch it?
No.
So they're not missing anything right now, LG. They're fine, right? They'll be fine.
Well, no, hold on. It doesn't mean, listen, it doesn't mean like, listen, I don't watch every single NBA game. Doesn't mean I don't.
No, same here. No, you're right. You're right.
Like that doesn't mean that's not what DFS is. Like that's not what betting is.
Let me tell you something too. They might be saving you a little bit here, because some of these injuries that are coming out in baseball here with a month to go is like, I'm thinking of this. When I hear season ending, I'm like, oh shit. I go to the transaction history for that player and I'm like, oh, look at that. Somebody just spent a lot of money on this player and invested in 20 of him on Sorare, and he's gone for the year, right? That's brutal. I think Gavin Lux was a good example recently.
Gavin Lux, yeah,
right?
And full caveat,
breakout year, man. Right? He's out for the year.
It's good you're reminding me that it's like full caveat. I do own some candy. I do have some MLB Sorare. I've been getting ready there. I've been peppering them in Discord with questions, and I did have Gavin Lux, who's out for the season.
No. LG has not been peppering them with questions. LG has been on
I talked about it last week. No, there's no rampage.
On that? Nothing. You're unbanned. You're good.
No, I was timed out, and I'm not timed out anymore. But I will say that anytime I go in there, I'm unable to not take on a troll tone. Like, even they're talking about normal stuff, I just want to be like, hey, fuck you guys. I just want to be mad at them. So I gotta try and cool that off. But hey, again, it's up to them to deliver. They can win me back by just literally sticking to their word when they said, hey, we'll have plans on Monday, and then they don't. It's like, well, I don't believe you. Why would I trust you?
It is disappointing, but at the same time, for me, it's like, if they don't have it right, maybe they're trying to adjust. I mean, like you said, there wasn't very many users last year, right, for Sorare MLB. So if they're expecting the numbers to come over from football or from soccer, and NBA, then they might need a bit more time to kind of get what they want to do right. And they might be making some changes. They might involve some licensing to even do some of that, whatever the hell they're trying to do, right? So you'd rather them take their time and be a bit late on the announcements. But again, it comes back to communication and things like that, right? So, and just expectations. And I feel like there's a little bit of panic from everybody right now, because baseball will come around so fast, and spring training has started. It's a missed opportunity right now to get the party started, right?
Listen, Sorare is very cyclical. Like, there's only so much to announce, man. It's the same pattern every year. So and they've had a long time to plan this, and so has Candy. So I'm gonna leave it there. Phil D, we have a first to wrap out the podcast today. We are starting something called the Hot Take of the week. And what this is going to be is pretty much every Monday morning on the First Mint, we're going to post a question or rather like a topic. And we want you guys to give us your hot take. And every week we're going to read out the best ones and we're going to pick a winner. We're going to pick the best take of the week and they are going to get a prize. This week, the provider of the prize and I guess the sponsor of the competition is Own the Moment, which has a partnership with the PGA starting. And they didn't ask me to say that. I'm just saying that because I know that's what's new with them. They also have a March Madness thing that I'm going to check out that maybe we can talk about on the podcast next week or the week after, Phil, once we know a little bit more. So Own the Moment is supplying us a Jolly Joker, which gives us, if you win it, it gives you access to their premium product, which is all their dashboards and all their really cool stuff, really great analytics. So whoever gets the best take today is going to win that. So, Phil D, I'm going to pull them up and we're going to read them through them together.
Does the person also get a front row seat to the First Mint and an OTM hockey game that is never going to happen?
Yes, no, it's going to happen winter 2024, man. That's when it's going down. Is it? It's going to be an outdoor game, winter 2024. Hey, sorry. Okay, so here we go. Wow, they're just blinded Phil at this screen. So the question today was, what's the biggest change Top Shot needs to make and why? Kind of a softball question for you guys and a whole hour to talk about it. We posted this question about 2 hours, so we have a few responses here to read through. So let's go through them.
Oh, wow.
From Tanner Wintz. Phil, do you want me to take the screen off? You can't see.
No, I'm good. I've got my little setup here.
I'll switch to dark mode on Twitter next time.
I'm okay.
So from Tanner Wintz, he said, hot take, Top Shot should create a bot that immediately buys and burns any moment listed for $1. The collector who lists this moment will receive 95 cents and the moment will be gone forever. Collectors can still submit offers for $1, but anything on the MP will be. I like that. I don't know if that's what the biggest thing they need to change, but I do like that. From Kenny Kalen, make it competitive. Flash challenges, set rewards, dapper balance reward that includes everyone. People want a reason to be competitive and buy off the marketplace. Top Shot needs to forget locking for bit and have the marketplace pump again. And that's why that gets everyone excited. Flipping is fun.
Okay. Is this hot takes or is this the best they can do?
This is hot takes. I don't know. Whatever hot take is supposed to be.
These
From Dr. Lumpia. Biggest change is no fiat pack drop in Series 5. You can only earn moments by burns, challenges, or paying with Top Shot score. Bonus change, a game of Where's Roham on the site where you get a free Bruce Brown 60K moment if you catch him. That's pretty good. I like that.
That is good. That is good.
Again, there's no requirements here. Like, it's just, I don't even know if the question was good for hot takes. This is just say whatever, and whatever we think is best is going to win. From Jeff Homer, gamification, make it fun to log in and participate. Moment ranks and daily challenges are the best part of Top Shot. Is there any way Top Shot can collab with NBA All World? Imagine finding a base moment in your street. I'd be walking miles collecting them. LOL.
Ooh. I really like that one.
Beer
I
Magician?
don't play NBA All World, and I'm telling you right now, if they were offering moments for running around town like I used to do with Pokemon Go, for whatever reason, I secretly did that for a while.
Integration with other NBA digital products would be really. That's what Rohan's been promising that shit for a long time. So let's get it done. From Beer Magician, they need to start making physical cards. Peeps are getting tired of looking at screens. Wow. From Mark Nakata. Moments with HDR with at least 4,000 suitable with at least 4K, suitable for large screen TV viewing. I don't know if that's the biggest thing that needs to change.
I'll tell you something right now. I almost never watch the moments. How crazy is that?
Me neither. I don't watch them at all.
Wild, right? Like,
I don't even know what the Zion moment I sold. I don't even know what he's doing.
Tell you what it is.
No, I see.
I will say this, LG. Did you see the play on the weekend? Steph Curry was finally back yesterday, or was it yesterday? Yeah. I discussed it in Discord. Did you see the three-pointer he hit where it was kind of the reverse of what LeBron did in that one moment where LeBron turns his back?
Yes, where he turned and looked at the bench.
Exact same spot, but this time it was the entire bench that turned around the minute Steph put it up in the air. They all threw up the three signs. And it's weird because I'm like, they don't do that all the time. What prompted them from that one shot to all get up and turn their backs and throw a three up? And he nailed it. A really cool moment. I love shit like that.
Yeah. Really, really nice. From Inferno, whose handle is at the Trash Father. We need to bring back a Cool Cat style master set challenge like in Series 2. I personally would name it the Hot Dog Set.
All right. That was the winner until he said hot dog set. Now I'm looking for something else. I don't need no. What's the hot dog set? Because of Cool Cats, that was
Cool
too
Cats.
cliche. Because back then, that's
Okay.
what everybody was saying. All right, keep going.
From the Joff, the biggest problem TS has is new users need to make onboarding easy. Not a new idea, but a larger presence at every NBA arena is an absolute must. What happened to the kiosks? TS also needs a face to the product. All Day has
That's true.
Mahomes. Top Shot needs a solid one. It's clearly not Kevin Durant.
I don't know, man. I'll just say that about that. I don't think it matters who you get, to be honest with you. I don't think if LeBron tells people, hey, go buy 10 NBA Top Shot, I guarantee the new users is like nothing. I don't think people care about that stuff. But I do. The kiosk for me is key, man. I don't know why that idea went down the drain. We even said it for the NFL, right? Like that's one thing I do like about Candy LG is that they had that concept last year of attending a game and getting a kind of a digital version of your tickets, but also like an NFT of something saying you were there and only the people who were there can claim it. I like that. That's a nice way to get people maybe into it, right? Not necessarily, but yeah.
All right.
Bring those kiosks back, man. Let's go.
From Raycon 007, removing Roham as CEO and bringing in a proven one. Entrepreneur never make good CEOs. Also move out of beta. It's been 3 years already.
If you listed me names of people that you want in that position instead of Roham, I would consider this one. But you can't just say bring in other people. Got to give us names, man. Like, who do you want? Who do you want? Seriously, give some names. We need some names.
Okay. From TS Ome, whose handle is Coco Rococos. Move out of beta, take fantasy challenge on the platform, kick them third-party apps, or make them official partners.
Top Shot is in beta for life. Just take my word for it. It's
kind of they can't do fantasy. They don't have.
How is this beta though? How is this beta?
I don't know. We can't comment on every one. We got to get through them.
Okay. All right.
Okay. From Ash. S5, other than rookies, TSDs, and special inserts, make it highlight-based team reels with portions of sales coming in from arena activations. So, okay, I don't understand. From Leet 3, turn off Discord and move comms to the platform. The social features on site need to improve so that's easier to find like-minded collectors, make trades and deals, and overall allow more users to be able to engage with the community. The community is what will bring us back.
If anyone said hold a text-based AMA every week, you're the winner automatically.
From David Russell, every common drop going forward should be timed, queued with totally free mints. Let the market establish resale pricing. From Hackney OH, we need in-arena minting. We want moments from games we attend, moments that have meaning to us personally. There are a lot of good moments, but they are also lost in the jumble of thousands of moments with 15K mint counts. From KJ, the real Phil D for marketing SVP.
Wow. No way, man. I was offered in this space a job in marketing. And the best decision I ever made in my life was completely ignoring it. All right. Anyways.
Oh, man, there's a lot of them. Holy shit. There's a lot of comments, Phil D.
Wow. Are we going to have to go through all of them maybe?
Okay, we're almost done. Okay, I'm going to read them.
Oh, go back. I just saw an absolute beauty there.
From AG, hired Janie back.
That's a pretty hot take. Can you imagine that announcement was made? I would pay to see the reaction to that, to be honest. I'd have to go back in the Dapper Discord.
From Gelvan, biggest challenge is getting users to return. From Mark Santos, mint variety of moment types as opposed to giving a player several of same one such player with 5 dunk moments and no block one. It's very confusing. Darth Maul said leadership. All right. You know what? Leaderboards need to revamp. They need to start over fresh and bring in new users, advertise and promote. Yeah, we know that. Stop trying to make it cardboard on the blockchain. It's better. Embrace and adapt. Again, need to be more specific. Community engagement and growth. All right, these are a lot of the same ones, Phil D. I think the 3 that you like the most were from Jeff, Homer, gamification, make it fun, log in, participate, integrating with NBA All World. I think you like that. And Cool Cat style master challenge with hot dog set. And then from Joff having a big face of the product like Mahomes. Or in the kiosks. You like the kiosks. I think those are the 3 candidates. Phil D, do you have a favorite out of those 3?
I'm gonna have to go and huge shout out to my guy KJ, man. Much love there. But I want nothing to do with any marketing jobs.
Sorry. 4th candidate was Phil for marketing SVP. I
will have to go. Those are actually all really good. I really like the Joff, and the Joff actually won a contest with the first mint before when we had the flow. I think it was
follow.
Was it Was it, remember the flag idea or the best flow project idea? Remember that?
Yeah.
I think he won that, man.
I think
he's really
so.
good
Yeah.
at these. That's a guy
Wait,
that maybe needs to get into marketing.
Joff.
Yeah.
You said Joff, not Jeff. Okay, Joff. Yeah.
Joff. No, the Joff won that contest we did for best flow idea. Remember he had the flags thing where you could sell, you could buy cities NFTs.
Yes, city, province, and city NFTs.
I love that,
state
man.
NFTs. Yeah,
I still think that's a fantastic idea, and I would be into that. But I'm gonna have to go with the one of grabbing moments with All World. I like that.
All World
like
from
that
Jeff.
a lot.
Yeah,
man. I do, because you know what, LD, you guys, I mean, the entire Discord, including yourself, have been kind of talking about All World for months now, and I just can't get into it. I can't. But if you were to tell me that if I go hunting for these things and I go grind it out, I could win some moments to add to my collection and sell and make a bit of money off it. I think that's huge.
It's not developed enough, All World. It's not developed enough. Like there's not like it's like you just collect the players, but that's what I'm saying. It's like it needs to be now. The NBA needs to integrate all that shit together. So
yeah, let me give an example. Back to the days of when we went to Paris Hilton's concert in Decentraland,
Metaverse,
and we were able to crack boxes open that she was throwing in the audience and have those go directly to our MetaMask wallet. Whatever was in there. Like if you had one of her special dresses, there was only 5 of them that she threw out, but they were going for thousands of dollars, right? It went straight to your collection because it was tied into your wallet. That was dope. And I'm a little surprised we haven't kind of evolved with that kind of stuff right now. But I think that All World has a lot of potential because Pokemon Go was such a hit, but it hit a wall because nothing really came out of it. You were just like, okay, what am I doing here? But if you were gaining collectibles and you were able to go all over the world and say you can't get players from different cities unless you go to that city or something like that. Or if you go to a game, you get an even bigger moment or a boss or something that you can fight or play against or whatever. I think there's so
even if they were stores, even if it's like, okay, some of them, the commons you can collect for free, but then if you go to the store in a certain city, the virtual store, then you can buy the moments there. Like, I think that makes tons 100%. Of sense.
I like the idea, man. I really do. It's not really a hot take, but it is because it's not part of the game right now. And it's actually really popular, the game, right? So,
yeah, I like that. All right. Well, there you go. Jeff Homer. Great take. Phil D, I think we can wrap out there. Any final thoughts on everything today before we go for the week?
I think that's it. I'm actually the best time I've had in the space, maybe in 2023, was during that AMA. I think the format, for as much as it took, flack, it wouldn't have been the same if Roham was on some kind of stage and being read questions and answering them. Okay, the fact that it was so almost. It was such a, not a troll job by Roham and Dapper, but it was kind of still a powerful message saying, hey, I'm still in charge here. I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And I will answer your questions, but we're doing this where I have the least exposure, where people are not even going to know if it's really me. Okay. And I believe it was him. I don't think it was, the answers weren't that calculated where it's not him, but I feel that it was great. People have stopped talking about it now all of a sudden. Okay. That kind of shut a lot of doors, and the general chaos around it for me, that's always my vibe. So hopefully we have more if they want to keep going and keep that format. But LG, controversy always goes a long way. For whatever reason, it's popular, right? And that's the most booming that the Dapper and Top Shot Discords have been in a year, I would say, right? When that happened. So it kind of brought some life back to the community. And I was seeing people in there, I'm like, dude, where the hell have you been?
People still care. That's the
people
thing.
Still care.
People exactly. They think it's, even if they're there to hate, like you still care a little bit, right? So definitely draws a crowd. And I do think that those types of moments, obviously this was Roham trying to right the ship and trying to make people feel better again. I do miss those moments, and I think those are the most powerful ones in Web3 and NFTs and everything, where it's like you really feel like this sense of togetherness, like everyone's doing the same thing at the same time, and there's kind of a scene. And I feel like obviously bear market, we don't have those as much, but I'd really love to see more of them. So maybe some of that community feedback is right for Top Shots, like just create more opportunities for everybody to be there at the same time. That's what pack drops used to be, Phil D. When we used to do Club Cold Brew and all that, it was like, well, we're all doing the same thing at the same time. And I think you really miss out on a lot of like the community fun when you don't have that, even if it goes poorly. So it might be up to us to create some of those, Phil.
I agree. And for anyone watching on the actual stream right now, you will know that we are near the end of this podcast, because in true the real Phil D fashion, I'm starting to fade into the darkness here in the room with no lights on or anything. I started with daylight, and now all you can see is my face. And I was actually blinded by LG's antics a couple of minutes ago with the Twitter.
It's all right.
So Phil, we are fading to black here.
We're going in the spring, man. It's okay. You'll have more light later in the day as we go, especially once daylight savings hits this weekend. So, all right, Phil D, brother, Pleasure as always. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next week on the First Mint.